Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Listen to Pavarotti.
Can I be your superhero?
Hello, welcome to The Revealing. I'm your host, Pavarotti, and I'm here to discuss the Idaho 4 case. And I did several videos this week. Some of them, being kind of perplexed about all this new information coming out. All of the things that were being said by Mr. Whitcomb in the interviews, and some of the evidence that he was pointing out that had come to light, and how, even though we know the misnumbering system of the crime scene examples, how he asserts Brent Turvey's crime scene recreation of Xana being attacked in the living room and then chased carrying a plate of food to the bedroom. And I believe I said in that video that I'm going to disagree with Whitcomb, Brent Turvey, and I'm going to disagree with Paulette Sutton, the state's expert. And then there was that article that I read the other day from Fox News where they quoted Brent Turvey. And I made a statement in that I was hoping was incorrect, or not incorrect statement, but I was hoping it, my reading of the tea leaves around it wasn't correct. But now we got some real issues in this, because now that we know, I've confirmed the leak investigation is still ongoing. And I do believe with all my heart that at the end of the leak investigation, documentation would be filed. And I've gone over this. I mean, the defense is, everything's being held up from being released for some reason. And the defense team, I believe, has been holding those things up because they're going to be filing. And now I'm afraid that it's quite possible that we have some real dogs in this situation that's bringing forth this new information and giving us so much hope that might just be wolves in sheep's clothing, bringing forth this information and doing a preemptive strike. This is what's so insane about this case, because we don't know which is which. But I'm going to read you a new release from Ann Taylor. And then I'm going to remind you of what I said in this video the other day. And this is what really makes me go, oh man. Because if this was the information that the defense team was actually going to use to get this thing reopened, then we've got a big problem in this case. This is what I want us to understand in all of this. So we've got Turvey here, the defense expert, because they've now said that they made it aware to the defense team this is not new evidence and they can't file post-conviction relief for newly found evidence based on this. In an exclusive interview with Fox News Digital, Whitcomb revealed that a defense expert raised serious chain of custody concerns surrounding the sheath found in victim Madison Mogen's bed. Kohberger's defense team, led by Idaho attorney Ann Taylor, did not pursue his findings before the plea deal. However, Whitcomb said, she did not respond to a Fox News Digital request for comment. So again, they've over and over stated how Ann Taylor was aware of this information. So if she was to file for new evidence, or if the defense team was to file for new evidence discovered in the case, they can't do it because they've already disclosed that she's been informed of this evidence. So now when we see the official press release from Ann Taylor's law offices, and this is signed by Ann Taylor, Massoff, and Barlow. April 28, 2026, the day the book was released, R.E. State versus Brian C. Kohberger. We write regarding the recent statements made by Brent Turvey. He was an expert hired by the defense late in the case. His confidentiality agreement was signed October 30th, 2024, and continues to this day. The agreement with Mr. Turvey was crystal clear that all materials, as well as any opinions that he developed as an expert, were to be kept confidential. Mr. Turvey was reminded when the court lifted the non-dissemination order, the duty of confidentiality continued until he was released from it by the defense. In his role as an expert, Mr. Turvey was asked solely to provide an opinion about the crime scene, nothing else. As such, he has access to view some items related to the case. He was one of the many experts relied upon by the defense team in this case. Mr. Turvey has not been released from his confidentiality agreement and is now speaking about topics that are still confidential, many of which are outside of his areas of expertise. The defense team is appalled by Mr. Turvey's behavior and his release of documents and information that he knows are confidential. It is the opinion of the defense team that Mr. Turvey's conduct falls outside of the ethical and legal norms that are applied to experts in criminal cases, and his reliability should be seen through the lens of this conduct. Big statement right there. His reliability should be seen through the lens of this conduct. So not only is Ann Taylor pointing out him releasing this goes against their confidentiality agreement, but she's saying the very fact that he's releasing it and making these statements should go against his reliability on anything that he has to say. Big statements there. Now, Brent Turvey fired back with a press release, not a press release, but a conversation with the Idaho Statesman. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I do want to read this. It says, in response to a prior interview request, Turvey provided the Statesman with a previously unreleased photo of a police evidence bag. He said it showed the police chain of custody for a key piece of evidence in the case was insufficient and would have been challenged at trial. So it was Turvey that released the picture of the chain of custody of the bag to the Statesman. Turvey is also thanked and features in a new book about the Moscow homicides case called Broken Plea by Christopher Whitcomb, a former FBI agent who did not work on the case, but books hit the bookshelves Tuesday. And then it goes on to talk about Ann Taylor's statement that the defense team is appalled by Mr. Turvey's behavior and his release of documents and information that he knows are confidential. Kohberger's defense team wrote. So it's still Kohberger's defense team. Taylor, Barlow, and Massoff. Where is my guy Tony out there? Tony, Kohberger's defense team. Taylor, Massoff, and Bicca Barlow all signed the press release. Turvey rejected his former contract employer's accusations. He said the state already has released most everything he's talked about and called the defense team's claim about him a deflection away from issues with the case after questions have continued to be raised about inconsistencies in the investigation and the decisions that led to Kohberger's plea deal. The bottom line is, in my 30 years, I've never divulged confidential or case-sensitive material that was outside my realm or outside my anything, Turvey said by phone. Nothing that I shared was not already public or at least provided in discovery that was actually data dumped by law enforcement in Idaho. I don't like that statement, y'all. Or at least provided in discovery that was actually data dumped by law enforcement in Idaho. So what he's doing is he's saying that the defense had that the entire time in their original data dump that they received, and he's pointing that out. And that's another thing that they would point out if they were trying to preemptively strike the post-conviction relief by saying the defense was already aware and already had it in their possession before the plea deal. Rarely has Turvey chose to speak with media unless he's asked to do so by a client, he added. This case is different, he said. This is an extraordinary case with extraordinary types of exculpatory evidence that were not being brought to light, Turvey said, referencing items and information that allegedly could disprove Kohberger's guilt. And so that's the reason for the discussion with Whitcomb, because so much stuff was being misstated and buried and not talked about by both sides. He challenged Taylor and her team to point to specific violations of the confidentiality agreement he signed because nothing he has said reveals attorney-client privileged information. Dadgummit. Or would cause harm to their client, Turvey said. I couldn't possibly guess what's in her head, he told the Statesman. You'd have to ask her to be specific, and if she's too specific, she can get herself into a lot of trouble. You see, you would have to ask her to be specific, But if she's too specific, she can get herself into a lot of trouble. So he's basically saying, tell her to be specific, but if she does, I got you. And now we're in a world of hurt because we don't know who to believe in this situation. Do we believe Turvey, that they're really working on behalf of Kohberger with an ex-FBI guy? Or do we believe the defense team has stuff in the works that Turvey and the ex-FBI guy are trying to preemptively strike by releasing the information and saying the defense knew about it? This is what I was afraid of. This is why I kept pointing that stuff out. And this is why I am absolutely side-eyeing Turvey and everything he did in this case. I don't even know what else to say. But there's the breaking news. Again, we can't get clarity on anything in this case.
Like you, be strong to hold the powers of the sun. To dream